Okay, así. ¿Qué estamos aquí? I always forget what language I'm talking in. So I'm just going to leave this up for anyone who needs it. And it is in English, in English, in English. So I've got this from AQA, for GCSE Spanish. So anyone who is doing GCSE Spanish, perhaps you will find this useful. And it's just going over the additional speaking guidance for Spanish. So if you're doing Spanish, you might find this useful. Okay. So I'm just going to go through it and read what it says and let you know what you need to be making sure that you know for if you're doing GCSE this summer. So it's the summer of 2021. If you're doing Spanish, this might be of use to you. Okay, so as you know, the system is a little bit different this summer. Normally you would get graded from 1 to 9, but that's been changed for your speaking assessment. You're going to be getting an endorsement. So an endorsement would be done by your teacher. So it's not going to be that formal paper that you normally do. How will this be done? You might be asking yourselves. Well, it's your teachers who are going to be assessing you. And so though you're not going to have a formal paper with someone coming in from outside to do it, your teachers might be giving you activities in class and just seeing how you perform, seeing how you speak, seeing how you express yourselves, and they'll be making their assessment throughout the course of the year. So depending on what you're doing, how you're expressing yourself, they will draw from that then to give you a mark. Now the mark will be a pass or a merit or a distinction. So what I'm going to do now is go through the notes and guidance from AQA so you can see more or less what you should be aiming for and see what sort of vocabulary will get you what sort of mark. Obviously we'd all like to get a distinction. So let's try to aim for that. We can do that. So, okay, what might you see and get, what might a pass look like? Okay, so short sentences, single main clauses with basic word order. So the example that I have here from AQA is, for example, tengo un hermano. Okay, I have a brother. Tengo un hermano. That's a very short sentence. I have a brother. Tengo una hermana. Or tengo dos hermanos. I have two brothers. That's very short. Or mi madre es guapa. Okay, that's also very short. My mother is beautiful. Mi madre es guapa. So that's a short sentence, and it's a single main clause. It's not complicated. The word order is also very similar. Mi madre es guapa. My mother is beautiful. Quite simple. Okay, familiar common structures such as singular and plural noun forms, some appropriate use of articles and gender, basic negative expressions, common question words, possessive adjectives, and so on. And this is first person only. So appropriate use of your articles. So for example, if you say un amigo and you're referring to a boy, well, that's right. So, but if you're talking about a sister, for example, and you said un hermana, that would be wrong because you would need to say una hermana. So getting the right article with the right noun is what they're looking for. So using basic negative expressions like no tengo, no me gusta, things like that. The question words as well, you should have down to a T. You should know these question words. Que, which is what, quién, who, cuando, when, so all your question words. So make sure you are practicing your question words. Como, how, por qué, why, a qué hora, what time. So all of these are very basic words and question words that you should know. So the possessive adjectives, you need to be able to show that you can use these as well. So me and miss. So mi madre, that's showing singular. You should know when to use mi madre as opposed to mis with the S on the end, mis padres, my parents. So just remembering when it's plural and when it's singular. They're looking for all of these sort of things at a pass rate. Okay? Regular verbs. We know how important regular verbs are. And obviously there are some irregular verbs that we need to make sure that we have down as well. And by my irregular verbs, the basic ones that we've all been seeing since year 7, the ser, I, we've seen this loads and loads. Hay una farmacia. So there's a pharmacy. We've seen I 100 times. Hay una playa bonita. There's a beautiful beach. We've seen this over and over again. So tener, the verb tener, to have. You will need to have this. Hacer, to make. Poder, to be able to. Ir, to go. Saber, to know. Querer, to love or to want. Salir, to go out. So these are your basic irregular verbs that you need to make sure you have down with you. And obviously, guys, we cannot forget the verb ir, okay, to go, ir. And we memorize this in and out, in and out, in and out. Yo voy, tú vas, él va, nos vamos. You revise these over and over and over again because they're just so common. We can't afford to not get a basic mark because we haven't revised these basic verbs, okay? Right, so they also look for basic formation of the present and past tense and also the future tense. Obviously, there's still 3 tenses you need to know. So, for example, perhaps, I'll go with a couple. En este momento, so in this moment, at this moment, en este momento, estoy leyendo un libro, or leo un libro. I'm reading a book at this moment, okay? In the past, anoche, last night, anoche leí, I read a book. Anoche leí un libro. Last night, I read a book. So, let's go back down. So, in the future, mañana voy a leer un libro. Voy a leer un libro. I'm going to read a book. Sam, I think Sam asked a question about if they've been published. This was I think a few weeks ago. So you just have to keep looking up on the website all the time when your exams are getting closer as well. Okay, so grammatical structures at merit. So what I just mentioned before are the kind of things you'd be looking at a pass rate, because as I said, you will be marked according to that level, pass, merit, or a distinction, okay, instead of your 1 to 9 system. So if you're looking at a merit, grammatical structures that you might need to know, they should include a mixture of shorter and longer sentences using connectives. Connectives like y, and, pero, but, por qué, because, también, also, entonces, so. So all of these words, mientras, while, all of these words are connectives. Make sure that you're using some connectives to connect your sentences, because they do sound a lot more complex, and like you have a higher level, and that's what you're aiming for. It's not the same to say tengo hermanos, vivo in Wiltshire. If you were to change it up for a higher level, it'd be something like tengo hermanos y también, and also, tengo o vivo en Wiltshire y es en una ciudad pequeña, in a small town, pero no me gusta. Pero el but, no me gusta, is forcing you then to make your sentence longer and more interesting. Okay, so don't forget your connectives. They are so important if you're trying to get a bit of a better grade. Okay, can't forget those. Okay, so for a merit, we're also looking at more demanding structures, such as subordinations, pronouns, less common question words, negative expressions, comparative adjectives, and so on. Giving you some examples. So, subordinations such as fui a la bolera donde vi a mi primo. Si no llueve, voy de excursión al campo. Okay? Or with your object pronouns, tengo un móvil nuevo, lo compré ayer. Okay? So putting lo instead of mentioning mobile again. Tengo un móvil nuevo. I bought it yesterday. The pronoun it. I bought it yesterday. Lo compré ayer. Okay. Less common question words such as cuáles, which, cuántos, how many. Okay. So for example, ¿cuál es tu comida favorita? Okay. What is your favorite food? Okay. ¿Cuáles? Which is more which than what, but we translate it to what, don't we? Less common negative expressions such as nada, nadie, nunca, tampoco. For example, tampoco is that neither. So if I was to say to you, I don't like pizza, and I was to say, yo tampoco, I'm saying me neither, yo tampoco. Okay, so comparatives such as más o menos, more or less, tan, como, me gusta esto, tanto como esto, tan como, so it's like so tan como, mejor, peor, menor, mayor, all of these you will need to get down. Okay, less common regular and irregular verbs, reflexives, singular and plural, and the use of common modals. So, verbs such as evitar, to avoid, vender, to sell, andar, to walk, and reflexives. We've gone over reflexives so many times, and I'm sure you know what reflexives are. They always end in RSE, ars. Sorry, French. Arse, lavarse. See, kids always remember that because it has the word that looks like arse on the end. Okay, so those are your reflexives. Okay, so for example, dormirse, lavarse, ducharse, and because you have to remember how to separate the verb and use it accordingly. So, me acuesto, from the verb acostarse, me acuesto a las 11. So I go to bed at 11. So it's making sure you know how to use things like those. So again, formation of the present, past, and the future. How many times have you heard that? You need to get those down to a T. It's not that hard when you start practicing though, is it? So grammatical structures for a distinction, guys. We're going for a distinction. Who doesn't love a good distinction? Love that when I see it on the paper. Love a good distinction. Okay, so if we're aiming for a distinction, what structures, grammatical structures are we looking at? Well, your grammatical structures might include extended sentences and sequences of speech. So sometimes with more than one clause using complex word order including conjunctions. So this is an example that you've got. En el futuro, me gustaría ser profesor. Así que en la universidad tengo la intención de estudiar geografía. Okay, so in the future, I would like to be a teacher. So at uni, I'm planning to study geography. Okay, if you see, that is a much longer sentence, isn't it? You're using more complex word order and you're using conjunctions. Conjunction here, así que, okay? So I'm planning on. Así que tengo la intención. It's not the same as the two previous levels we've seen. So, moving on. More demanding structures such as less common pronouns, infinitive clauses, less common structures. Demonstrative pronouns such as este or ese. Este, this, ese, that. Prefiero esta chaqueta a esa. Okay, I prefer this jacket to that one. Those little words, those little things that really does make a difference. Indefinite pronouns such as alguien, algo, o nadie. Okay? Debería hacer algo para ayudar a los sin techo en mi barrio. We should do something to help the homeless in my neighborhood. Okay? So relative clauses such as que, cuyo. Cuyo, you probably have seen cuyo. Cuyo is whose. This example they've got here. Es la profesora cuya hija es mi mejor amiga. So it's the teacher whose daughter is my best friend. Cuyo, cuya. Try and remember that one. A relative pronoun. It's the difference between a merit and a distinction. Those little things. Okay? So again, we'll go down. We'll look at prepositional pronouns. Es para mí or con ella. So and so. If you guys need this, I actually sent this to my GCSE and A-level group on Facebook. If anyone wants it, let me know and I will send it to you. Or I'll just put the link down below when I edit this video later, if you're interested in seeing it and just going over it. Less common structures such as acabar de plus infinitive. I've done several videos on this. So I've just done something. Acabo de ducharme. Okay? I have just had a shower. Acabo de terminar. I've just finished. Okay? Then you have verbs like soler plus infinitive. Suelo ir. I normally go. Soler is where that comes from. Suelo hacer tal cosa. Okay? I normally do this or I normally do that. So these are the less common construction that will get you a distinction. If you're doing it right, you're including some of these things if you're aiming for a distinction, okay? And I feel as though I'm going really fast. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you feel as though I'm going too fast, do let me know. Okay, hace falta, hacer falta, okay? Hace falta más hielo, okay? We need more ice. More ice is needed. Dejar de. Dejar de is an expression that you would use when you want to say you've stopped doing something. Deja de molestarme. Stop bothering me. Dejar de fumar, like bad habits. Dejar de hacer algo is you quit doing something that is probably not a good habit in the first place. Okay, acabo de, I think we did that one before. Yeah, we've done that one. So let's move on. More complex verb structures, use of modal verbs in range of tenses. So complex verb structures such as present subjunctive. Guys, I struggled with the subjunctive so much when I was at school, so much. So I know it's one of the more difficult things. And as English speakers, I think even when you do get a good understanding of Spanish, it's still something that you have to stop and think about. So be patient with yourselves. It will come. It will come. Okay? It's a matter of studying, I think. The more you study this, the more you will understand it. And the easier it will become, the more you practice. Get someone who can be a good study buddy. You know, someone you can talk to all the time. It'd be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay? Absolutely brilliant. Hello, Samba. Okay, so a complex structure would be, for instance, cuando tenga 17 años, quisiera aprender a conducir. That's the example. Cuando tenga 17 años, me gustaría aprender. I would say me gustaría aprender a conducir. I would say that. Instead of quisiera, I would put me gustaría. I would like to. That's me personally. Okay? So when I reach 17, I'd like to learn how to drive. If you're having trouble with this, just let me know as well, and I will put links down below, because I've done several videos on the subjunctive. All you have to do is look it up and you'll be all right, because it's just a matter of studying. It's not that hard, I promise. It is really not that hard once you get the hang of it. Okay? Okie dokies. So grammatical structures that you might include in a distinction, if you're going for a distinction, is the formation of the present, past, and future tense again. So less common examples of conditional and imperfect, and some use of the pluperfect. Okay, so modal verbs in range of tenses such as quería descargar unas canciones de mi artista favorito, pero perdí la conexión a internet. O no podré llegar antes de las 7. Those are your modal verbs. Your modal verbs in range of tenses. Okay? Formation of present and past. So, en este momento estoy preparando la cena. Now, I'm preparing dinner right at this moment. Actually, I don't love that one. En este momento estoy hablando con vosotros. En este momento estoy hablando con vosotros. Because right now I really am speaking with you guys. I'm speaking at you. Okay? I like this. So this is the imperfect. Cuando era pequeña y iba todos los días a la casa de mi abuela. Okay? So when I was young, I used to go every day to my grandmother's house. Eso no es mentira. I think it's a good example. Okay. So, quería hacer una pregunta sobre los deberes, pero mi profesor había ido a un museo con su clase. So I wanted to ask a question about my homework, but my teacher had gone to the museum with her class. So these are examples of how you could get, of what you're looking, the kind of examples that you would see if you're aiming for a distinction. Okay? Creo que he hablado mucho. Guys, I think I have spoken loads. But yeah, so these are just structures and vocab that you will need to know. If you're doing a foundation paper, obviously you will need to know basic things like the colors, todos los colores, blanco, negro, rosa, amarillo, marrón, all of those you will need to know. Okay? You will need to know the members of your family. You need to know madre, padre, hermano, primo, primos, abuelos. All of that you will need to know. Okay? You need to know your pronouns. You need to know singular and plural. You'll need to know how to be negative. You know how to show likes and dislikes. Me gusta. No me gusta. Okay? Me encanta. Okay? Adoro. Verbs like quiero. And quiero is such a versatile verb that you can use it for lots of things. But those are your basic verbs. Tener, haber, ir, visitar, cocinar, amar, querer, all of them, all of the most basic verbs that we've been seeing since GCSE. Just brush up on them, guys. Just brush up on them. And with that, I'm going to leave you. And I hope that you've got something out of this live today. And good luck and aim for a distinction. I think it's always better to aim higher and see where you land. Aim for the stars. And so with that, guys, os voy a dejar, okay? I'm going to leave you, and I hope you would have found that useful. And until next time, I'm going to try and do more lives, okay? Bye, guys. Bye.